Travel around Haert. By L.T. Zupan. Read by L.T. Zupan. Published by Leo Thomas Zupan IV. Copyright 2017 by Leo Thomas Zupan IV. Chapter 16. Mexico. 1 Mexico. Gan. Williago Sea Center and Hotel Customaries completed. It was a narrow sand color and plants hotel, like a New York Muppets slum slat. People were excited to see us. First we meet a short, friendly fellow who spoke great English and stayed at the hotel. He was with an early 30s girl who said, "2 after Will asked if they could connect glass. "Y'all are high on glass rights now, ain't you, cha?" I said, She goes, "I can tell by the look of your eyes, all clear, bright, and glassy." And we had smoked crisp glass earlier, alas. Dude says to Will, "Yeah, I can get it. Look around here sometime, and you can see people line up for glass by some of these dealers' windows like it's a drive-through," and smiles as it was absurd. We said, "Okay, yay. We shall ask you again when we want to procure some," and went away because Will and Tiago, and me somewhat, wanted to preview a start to hooker-looking. 3 Tijuana has a sort of red light-like area. We circuited around it as points of hub ourselves. Prostituters all looked plastiquois, and we were unmoved, dismayed, though 2 or so had something exotic and arousing to them, out of maybe 40. We walked back to our hotel room, recharged, and upon another day walked around, talked and walked to a fountainy public area, stones and tongues, shrubberries. The red ones are mildly poisonous. Will, of course, is less generous than I. I spent the last of my then total finances on a Coca-Cola and a tamale, totally worth it. I talked with the hot young Latina who was nerve-wracked by our presence for a talk of maybe 180 seconds. Totally worth it. I can still see her scrunching her face in my mind's eye or imager. Imager has a core word of mag, as in magical magazines, by the way. By the way is an album by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Don't tangent. Maybe your perceptual span shall benefit from broaden G. May be. Around the night times, we did see the drive-through meth lineup, or walk-through, as Dude had described. Tijuana police also spun around periodically to refine the transferencias, and we purchased a sole load of meth glass back years ago before I acutely transcended tweak. 4 He brought us half of what we asked for and smoked some of his with us also. Dude had a list of people whose cars could be stolen, mostly rich, naive Californian, and he was gang-affiliated and had killed people. We were intrigued and invited him to fucking kick it with us and talk after we were all spun. I asked him about fear and how to deal with it and get over it. He was irritated. I asked it first, then looked me straight in the eyes and said things I can't recall. My fear is gone and comes through circuits I uninvite and cut. Like worms, a chain-reacted thought grows from an okay thought to an associated other thought and another until it's fury. I can catch it, you see, and pull it, turn it, and be it shot back. A saucer shape of circuits weave around the dome of head, and she is coupled with thoughts I hear. Oh, I hear, and I trace, and I cancel. Fear, stress, and others gone enough I can tall. Gone enough. After plagued for lifetimes with it all. So the fucking speed kicked in. 5 dash 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 dash. Glass starts and spins you. You start feeling a total euphoria. And all is Excel, 8, ed. Most people get bonkers with it. I'm one of the few that has natural adaptability to it, adept. And shamanistic, or shamanistic, or shamanistic, or I find myself reaching such elevated states I change people's lives, gleaning or vining in formation and clausing and unlocking, unraveling and clearing people's troubles and woes. I go doot, do-do-do, doot, do-do, and really fast. And people are resolved. I do it to myself as well. After 50 people have thanked me, sober people usually, for this, I noticed its reality. I also clear my own aura. This time, after all our energies were cleared, I started speaking eloquently and slowly, as a natural fashion. I started to see sparkly speckles, spatial energy, snowfield star spots, sort of. Will and Tiago alternately argued with each other and me and criticized, brought issues to me to solve and were baffled and grateful, and again argued, hence spun, though its spindle spiral was ultimately to an evolved state and beyond. Dude ripped us off for more. Expected, and we saw the kids in the alley again. A local said Rosarito, next town south, was kind of strange. We said strange, like how? Like some old woman walks to me while I'm eating brunch and starts crying about, can't recall, kind of a town. Okay. Tall. We never did have any hookers, as absurd as the idea was. We hitched to Rosarito by way of an asked-for ride from a local. 6 dash 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 dash. Rosarito first was an old OXXO. I'm fond of the OXXOs, and I love them. They have nachos. The locals were eerie. Will spanged the fuck out of them. Standing in the dusky side walkway outside the Max BP equivalent, a local bum washed parked cars hoping for 8 pesos. I said, hola, and said I had none, wanting some pesos myself, actually. We asked where the fucking cool art coffee shop coastal area of the town just may be. The soul we asked said, yeah, there's this one restaurant where the artists and jewelry peddlers go by the shore. I said, cool, and thank you. We get there and there's like these fucking decks, and wooden they are everywhere, steps and a central stone tab of a sort, little cute pads and tablas of jewelry salars, and gathered by one, by and by. And we said, regrettably, couldn't buy any of your fucking jewelry, sorry. Fucking... And so we went into the rest tower sand and said hi to the locals people, and I had an iced coffee shared with Tiago. Somehow, can't recall where money comes from ultimately. These days, of course, there's always a place it comes from. And so we slept under a boardwalked deck, that night by the beauty of the ocean with all its heart, after a shoreline fire. We are awoken another morning away by rain, yes rain, dripped and dripping through the above boardwalk's deck steps. Cold and shivering and my stuff getting soaked gorgeously, bitterly tired, we gathered all of it. All our stuff being ourselves to the Oxo overlooking the fucking eternal shores of ocean shimmer, birthing purple-pink azure, 552 and imperial. I was pissed and tired, though I made the best of it back. When I would have be phased, or you would have be. Willago, Spange, Oxo, Custies. We walk after I pester them out of town. A Pemex gas station with the Restaurante Ariana sits by the edge of the outskirts of town, and there we sit. In a side on a chair by a table under a ceiling above a light above us under the eyes of others worries. 7 dash 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 dash. After 8 hours you could say we were bored painful. Finally Tiago asked a customer outside for money for a potato tuber or cigarettes we call tobacco. Very bored, but this customer says okay. He shall give us a ride, and Tiago runs back in and gets me all excited. This rich guy says he wants to party with us. Okay. I walk out, and guy has this tiny little nondescript car. Probably a way to stay safe. Round there's parts. And he had a woman, mind you, she had no parasol, but that's okay. And we all somehow squeeze into this tiny little fucking clown car. Rolling down the Baja Cali Mexican roads, bouncing and dirt-dusting puffs of our wake, rolling all around the roads. I am $108 or 108% sure he was on some steep-grade cocaine. We get to his fucking huge mansion in the middle of nowhere, and like something out of Scarface, he had this bodyguard, and again, no garlands, but that's okay. And we go to his little wine bar area with a fancy stereo, and he rips massive, tiny little key bumps of coca. We don't even ask. It's retrospect. He must have had some kind of used to this game kind of vibe wall, because even Will wouldn't ask for any. He plays stereo music, makes fun of his woman, and says Will and Tiago are okay. But this motherfucker, and points to Lee, and trails. He lets us sleep in a fancy-ass room and says we shall have to deal with dude who has a machine gun if we stole anything. And actually, with Will around, I don't blame him. Thankfully, Will didn't steal anything. We left with them to be dropped off south by the same place we started because he was north, feeling like, geez, it would have been beyond shallow to have $10 from rich guy, so we could eat on our mission to heal the energetic bands of this planet, geo-chakra by geo-chakra, helping others who couldn't or wouldn't even see or tell what we were fucking doing. Though he did give us some smokes. Mucho gracias. We hitched for 4 hours on a desolate, treacherous, sand-pebbly nothing road with fuckers whizzing by, angry and scared, and were tranced to Ensenada, last town I ever saw Will or Tiago. After was to travel alone again for thousands of miles, and between places I would sing some and expand heart. 8 dash 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 dash. Ensenada is actually a rockin' place. First, Tijuana from earlier is originally the Kumeyaay culture, and its name is originally Heart Between Two Seas by the Sea. Mexico is both bird of feathers and place of serpent. As a bird perches from a cactus with a beaked snake goes the tale. Closer to core is Nahua culture, where the word comes of. Aztec culture had a zoo pantheon, and the bird, as they were guided by a hummingbird deity, was perched on a nopal cactus. Nopal, or nopali, has opal, a stone embedded in Hartalis, with properties. Also, nopal is etomed as core, paddle cactus, called so because of its pads. Pad, Mexico, pad, 14 minutes of tunnels. Pad, or Almohadia, have hearts of pad, and both have hearts of ah sound, heart chakra tone. Leo Thomas Zupan IV, also from McWaters, is Leo Lion Lee Shelter Thomas twin, Mac Waters, son of water. Zoo, thunder, pan, all. IV, to transform. So Ensenada had some bars and parties. We rocked out. Will and Tiago stole a carton of smokes, gave me a pack, and relentlessly spanged like a mythical dog named Panji. Ensenada was. Our goal was to get drunk and have a hotel to sleep in for a night. But isn't it always? But isn't it always? Metaphorically. Asshole. Fucking metaphor. Anyways, we failed beautifully. These day I complete goals beauteous. Then though we failed the tale. We first had enough to go to the first art popsy colored blue-pink place to see it had 5 souls. Another place had a fashion show, and we drank half-drink can margarita types glasses of colored alcohol. I ate discarded nachos and talked with models, of course. I found the models irrelevant. Will and Tiago did not. We went to the pizza stand with Americano pizza, and Will asked, "Hey man, can you just give us some pizza for free?" Dude laughed, and so Will asked again, and he said no. We said fine, bye. Be that way, losers. We went to yet another and a final bar club, and I was in a lower level, profoundly depressed by the state of humanity, and I walked around and sat again, and walked to Will and Tiago, whom were mustering up the courage to talk to some plastic bots, to find a vaginal canal of a home, likely when the security approached and said, "You're gonna have to leave, your friend is too drunk." Me, I said, "Okay. I've just been sitting on couches depressed, you know, but whatever, fine. Be that way, losers. Winning." Will and Tiago shared my bemusement, having seen it all. I think it was a vibe clash, and those unprivy to their own vibe perception and reaction sometimes act strange to the open eye. Again, Will and Tiago, having seen it all, had the same opinion. This was before I became a hat lover, obviously. 9 ... So bent on having a fucking place to sleep like all the other douchebags. Will started spanging abso-fucking every loot-ly one towel. and crashed gently after 18 no's. I said, hey, you have to show you actually care. Like this. Hey, we're stuck out here, and we just really want a hotel to sleep tonight, and maybe some food. Do you have any pesos at all you can spare? Or Spanish with comida, casa, pesos, tal, por favor. And someone gave me 28 pesos with immediacy. So Will would see this and kept his routine irregardless. We started to argue, and he kept trying to scare me and then would be nice. Finally I said, stop being so schizo. Years later I meet Aaron, who looks like Will and is schizo, though that is another towel. It was the only time he was completely speechless. So we found a park with a fountain and slept outside to have security police types tell us to leave. I found a parking garage and slept cold and barely covered by a shabby fucking shitty blanket. No thanks to any of you, no offense. The last I've seen of Will and Tiago is as follows. It was a sunny and palmy Mexican day, and we were walking with our gear headed south, and a local said we had to catch a bus to the outskirts to the road 1 to hitch. They were astounded, of a course. We walked through an intersection arguing again, so common with Will and Tiago, the oft arrogant, though beauteous souls. And as we argued, a late teens girl in a funky bean of a car hollers to us, sand, tosses a joint out the window at our feet. We found it hilarious. Will and Tiago wanted to walk to the church to smoke by it and see the iglesia while high. Still fumed from the unkind words of Will, mainly italicized. Lee speaks. Okay, you go to church. I'm going to the 1. Bye. Hope you find your heart and your tal. 10 dash 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 dash. I spanged bus pesos, mager food cash, bust, and walked to the 1. Bugs and scabbies from Occupy LA started to burrow and fester, my head, my scalp, and above my penis in the crotch area. Thankfully they stayed where they stayed, though worser every day. I was solo again. Other than the head lice and the scabbies. Some Californian Americanos picked me up as a last hurrah to America. I was with them 400 minutes. We went in their nice-ass SUV as they stayed afraid of Mexico and checkpoint places to a truck stop type place in the middle of nowhere, maybe Uruapan. Finally, away from the outer fingers of the LA creature, they did buy me some food, which I appreciate thoroughly. 3 fellows were there to go fishing. Guess it was an okay place to do so, some tiny coastal town they were on the way to. They had a cooler and gave me some beers. 2 was not enough to cancel the pain of multi-dimensional deserts, but it was something. I slept outside in the open expanses, contemplating a started travel to Brazil again, and how I was alone because other people had no clarity between themselves and their heart and its ocean. In the morning, I asked truckers for a ride to Santo Tomas and was given scowls. And after a few hours, a fucking ride. The journey had begun, and my spirits had somewhat lifted. 11 dash 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 dash. Here's where the chapter starts. Really starts. Because I finally have an okay place to create art like this. It's also where full slant travel starts. Santo Tomas, San Vicente, San Quintin, all passed through. Baja California and Baja California Sur are the two halves of the peninsular, these towns starting the former. Notable places with little block strips of places within. I sponged rich-looking old women with a week's worth of me-living outfits of peacockish loud 80s colors and shapes. Maybe polyplast denim. I found myself in an inland town after hitching and eating in the little tourist oasis towns, from meager Spange panning, Leozu Spange back around then. In this town may have been called El Rosario. There were no fucking Taco Bells to be found, haha, just baby goating. Yeah, and I went to this grocery store and posted by the front door. It was then it occurred to me, like the red of Tori's hair. I would not ever hitch again, or if so, quan rarely, as people gave me grudged pesos, 5 or 10 or so, tal with each. I would and could talus was enough for a mexibus to the place after, and so it was El Rosario, Punta Preta, a desert town, trucker stop type town where they were shocked and gave me dinner, though nowhere to sleep. Another place also called Rosarito, the bugs all at home with lease blood smoothies, and me to search again and again. Santo Domingo, other spots something agua azul, and through the little cute invisible borderline to Baja California Sur, or Southern California South. 12 and ... And here's where it actually starts. Again. So after 8 hours of repeated failed attempts to spange up enough fucking cash pay to go to, on to the bus through, Jujuero Negro, a man in a silly sea blue Mexa station wagon, picks me up with his hat on, smiling, saying he's a man of God, or some sort of cliche association with the word thought. I said I was a man of corazon, and they say in heaven love comes first. Ooh, ooh, baby. So whatever in being, in totality, he was okay and beautiful with his transferences enough, and we rode, and he showed me his tiny dark blue Bible book in Spanish. I said, I do love the words of J.C. After hours and hours in the hot, desiccated expanses of desert dust, you would crumble in your mouth by a reverb of the solar lens pulsing. And was it in my brain or out of the corner of our sky? May both. So I was eager to get moving to see another place and forget the last one, as usual on the way to an Amazon. But preachy blue car wanted to go through Jujuero Negro first. He had to see his ex-wife, he said, and then on through for sure, to San Ignacio, or an area around. I said, okay? You say so. Let's go see your fucking ex-wife. San Blas Haert. 410 ... Guerrero Negro, like near all Mexicana towns, had a tucked-away housing area, all chaos. It was night, and darker than dark. He parked, and I kept hearing gunshots and waited in his car while he went to his ex-wife's house he was not supposed to see. Cops went by, and I wondered. He came back and said, let's wait until the morning. I said, okay, I'm gone. He said, no, let's go. I said, yeah, maybe. It's fucking time to move on, pal. Maybe find something beauteous in this world. We went to his relatives the next morning, who all tried to convert me to some kind of way, with little to no talk of the heart, and with talk of breakfast. And I Kuan quote Gandhi, I like your Christ, I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ. Though at least he gave me a ride, which I would have also, and I thank his heart for that. 51 dash 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 dash. After goes San Ignacio. Alone again, I walked 8 or so kilometers to center through a strangely lush precept, reminded of Palenque somehow. My fucking neck and collar and back and body and mind and stomach and soul and lungs ached. San Ignacio had architecture and a central park and was lively. I had enough pesos for a Coca-Cola and chips with salsa picante, Talis Valentina hot sauce. I asked an elderly man for some spange to buy some monkey muffins or whatever have you, and he obliged kindly. I asked another late-20s couple in an RV for any help to get to the next town. I'm kind of stuck out here. I was. And those fuckers were so snappy. Fine, keep it. Hungry for this world's food because I have to keep going, though I never asked for a fucking life or stomach. Whatever. The world insists you do what it does. At least it has been. I have art projects. I'm happy, as you all call it. And, moreover, getting closer to the heart, as I call it. And maybe as we all shall. Maybe. Care more about the ocean's heart and the heart's ocean. I leave with rare boily anger and go to Santa Rosalia, the 16 dash 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 dash. Through the hills of Santa Rosalia, I find Italian tourists eating breakfast. So fast. I ask, as I finally have a true and complete space to compose now, here in St. Augustine, listening to Dead Can Dance, skipping ads, and thinking of the song's screenwriter's blues, and the chapter actually fucking begins. Maybe you all will notice the differences in tones as an artist finally has a place to fucking be. Yeah. So, I ask. The Italian sitting down at a proud diner of Mexican love with colorful tablecloths and excited poor people who are happy to have a diner and not be so poor as the others. I ask, hey, sorry to bother you, but do you have any pesos you don't need? Because I'm alone out here with no money and disillusioned from a world that doesn't perceive me. And really, it's a long story. End quote. Yeah, sure, man. Just wait until we're finished here and we pay to get change, okay? Okay, thank you so much. Fucking appreciate the $2 or whatever I'm about to have to eat food I never wanted to have to eat amongst people who never wanted to see what I'm saying about food circuits anyways. Be around. 28 minutes later with people looking at me with pained energy, dude finally gives me $4 dollars. Thanks. And I leave town. Guess it was a major mejor tourist place spot to be from, what they told me. Santa Rosalia it was. Anyways, I go Spain, Prometheus style, berserker, until I get enough for a bus all the way to, okay, look, it's either Insurgentes or Constitucion, I think Constitucion, and it was like a Vegas-y, strange little town out there where people partied and drove bursting sounds around like a leash. I ate food in a place at dark and had some fucking loved Cornet special caguams. Like a Mexicana 40, as Sublime would say, 40 ounces to France is the only way he had. People stared. They always stared. I starred and stared. My lovely self, they stared. Bless their heart vacuum. Or heart, if you shall. And so the scabies worsened. I sat by a broken ramshackle place, and a bus was to be around the morning after. So it was me tucked in the corner outside all night with drunk criminals, and policeman and woman wanted to talk. They thought I was maybe an illegal American escaping to Mexico like so many others. And then, as it was becoming retarded and too ultra-stressy, and a kid approached with blood on his face and gasping breathe, asked something in Spanish, and I wanted to help, but he had to leave. Ran away. Bothered and disturbed. I was, and the sunball came to Skyland, and a bus did happen to be. Sad people and a place stress caused. This bus I went on all the way through Moulage fell asleep, and the driver had empathy some way or another, and I rode with Merle Tix and a ticket to Moulage, all to La Paz. La Paz is one of 4 of the southern tip of Baja California. I passed through to return again and had a hand of experiences. She's 17. ... Tits okay, thou, because she's 17 and 7/8. Yeah, ha. And so I had my fucking crusty ass bag. Green, I think it was. And the shells said, "What's in your bag?" Smiling by their picked-down truck badges twinkling. And I said, "Some clothes and stuff I can show you if you want." They laughed and said, "No, that's okay." Like most humans those days, they had imaginations of what they called drugs. They became uninvited, and I went to the bus station after that fucking spange we all love. Blas our hars. San Blas Ilan our har. A rare gay sex experience was by the bus station. So far, I have been 94 to 98% with the beauty of women, whom I have loved and still shall despite multiverses of bullshit, including crazed people calling me a craze. I don't know. I like art, and I can talk socially acceptably when I fucking choose to, or right to. Yeah, I can see that scent. Ants was beyond literally said. Sad. But now the last sentence was judged. And this one. So he came out of a club. Rare experience. I'm actually attracted to a being with a cock. And so he complimented me, beyond worrying about how gritty this page will be. We smoked tobacco, and he kept being sweet. He said, "Let's walk around the block," with a look in his eyes. Ha, we went to the bushes. He was worried about dogs of all things. Anyways, it was an unsatisfying experience. Maybe another time, rare I do that. So I rode on to a ferociously, worldly renowned place called Cabo San Lucas. It was fresh, it had vitality, it was young, it was new. 18 ... International party town, Cabo San Lucas. Yes, I was actually a little moved and enthralled to be there. And then I wasn't. Though first I fucking loved it. It had a tourist centra area, and me and some tourist had scooped each other to a jig rockers show. And with that, I mean rock. Always love that word, especially when it's with star. As they rocked eternal sounding tones, first rarely, increasingly through the night. I loved it and would see hearts of godettes, spasmed by the tones, called it dance and sacred liquan, flowed to all as magically. Thank you, me, ka, thank me, you. And Cabo San Lucas had tourists, whom gave me 20 sand dollars. I was in a Picasso heyday, and I pissed as they say in England. What a fucking joke, I thought then, for a few hours. I went around and slept somewhere I've forgotten thanks to don't, and went the little pier strip with boats and lined bars and fancy food places, reminders of China to my heart, and visually mapped so to any logics. It never rained, and I went on Scarlet's Walk to a Polaris of a mall, utterly astounded by its self-existence, knotted stair causeways and all. I met another one who sang. He was around and said I should establish, and I departed from the should world. It was golden tan and brown. Was. And San Jose del Cabo was passed through to return La Paz with a Quan to find my own way to the Mexican mainland. A ferry. I'd supposed, pardon, ferry. 19 dash 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 dash. Fun key things around La Paz. Fun around Haert, of course, and unfortunately. Then, I can tell it was okay. The coast called again and again and again. La Paz or peace starts, as I finally have a place in ways to complete to tell this. The Malecon, or Spanish word for boardwalk, being an English version Malecon. I would walk again and again. It is here I would commend to you the Marine Aramove Institute, funded by Jay-Z and Lady Gaga in its advancement. Love the Malecon and the ocean it traced and the art around intervals of 80 feet, sort of. I go to a club and talk with some locals. Rare to see a club I can be in those days, let alone a club with rock and rust music some nights. I was on mission to go with the ferry to mainland Mexico, having completed all of Baja California, and the way to go was to Topolabambo, though it was 1,108 pesos, and earlier I had 200 pesos from asking 25 people. I went on the bus to the ferry central, and there were serious guardian-type officials and a local spangle and a row of eateries, and tented, and with grills of iron and coolers of colasa, and I said, no steak, I shall eat maybe a carne pradab. Went beyond after I would see the ferry was 1108 peso to a place by the beach with people compaid. One was green and brown, and a bar canvas which had Corona and others. Sand through the feet, and a bus back to La Paz through rocky desperate terrain. So I talked with the local La Paz bar character and his constituents some of the Mexican problems with cartels and the linear, and he said, well, is complex. The governmental has famals and the mafia has same, and so they all shoot each other, and it's different states though tells local people are safe enough. I thanked and went to Embasia after bus Estacion Regenera 20 dash 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 dash. The United States of American Embassy of Baja California, Mexico. I walk in through those doors, and it like part of an equivalent of a dentalist office building or some sort, only they have the plast Pyrex style gals and scared guard heart. And I see Obama painted on the wall with a look of it's finally, we shall be rad. I said okay to those eyes back then, and talked with the busyness, causal articles of cloth-laden lass. They were sweat hearts, and after our talk, the embassy said, call your biofam talali, and was sent pesos Spanish the guard to get to the western Yan, and San Jose del Cabo was beautiful and gathered itself as I walked down Some old tourist brought some love, and I particled Balin for all. Back to La Paz for finale, and I meet an Africano-Americano around, and she spanged me hard. I said, okay, here's 50 pesos. She said, go with me to the store to get a black and mild, and we can smoke a blunt of this Mexican chiva I got here. I said, yep. She wouldn't pay the cab, so I spanged a store-goer for 50 pesos in front of her and paid the cab, hoping to blunt. And she did. And so, back to the bus estacion again, high as fuck. They arrested the lady because a nice hotel had given her a room with games and cable for 3 days, no payosa. She wants me to talk and say how she shall pay after she talks to Quantalis. Okay. So I see her carted away with a general vibe of she'd be around again in maybe 4, maybe 5 days. Bus again, and go to the excited airport-ish ferry place. 2 years after sea fairyland. Sea portals through web. 21 ... A ferry to Topolobampo. There were decks and trombone. I like the word. The beauty of fairy as she flies, defined because of an indefinite, undefined, terrified newts. Until she cries, whispered, frost-petaled, incapable, untorn blood color, scraping sud, to measure your fear of feeling her scary meek eek. And she told me nothing with solemn grin, made me forget, opened, she's short, she's height of tone bones and bonnet horizon. Her voice is beyond every god, they show me her eyes, tunnel 8, desperate, sprinkless, needless. You make me make her ache. She clears and sweeps and stops and stamps and honors stands. Her tiny power stops me and us until we're torn apart and gah. Old dawn, here's art, stop, and float back home to Atlantis. And all the fellow compatriots boated along with us to hear our story before crying and vomit. On the third right lower deck they had a buffet, and wondered and laughed as it came back up like a sick rat. Lying to ask for directions, it really did need a hospital to go to, they lied. And as I ate and watched all the Mexicans or human titles throw up like mop water, we swashed through and fra. I slept in the hallways with the others who didn't give a fuck. Like most Mexicanas, rad. To sleep somewhere rand. And talked with a construction-working drug dealer hater in buffet line. We got there and I bussed to Los Mochis. Los Mochis, leave the keys upon the table. Quantalius. Is a day or so before Jesus Christmas, and I fucking shot straight fucking through, 22 ... Culiacan. Had and does have a main square and decks of blocks I reverberated around, and even a Pizza Hut of sorts, or something like that as I recall. No wait, a Taco Bell or a KFC. So I asked locales for fared, and they seemed rather generous, kind, and willing, mainly because partly 'twas Jesus Christmas Eve. And so finally I was 140 pesos away from 280. And I asked 18 people, and 32, till I reached the priestaholics stepped of a church box. And they gave me 80 pesos, and said, we just hope you're not lying. As all the other people undoubted, the priests clearly had honesty issues, at least projected hopiathily. And church digivolves, as the baby goat kids say, to beyond. I started asking others round this time with the bright idea of, what's the next town like? What's the next one like? And fuck that auto-tune, cause we own. And the Unerets said, don't go to Mazatlan. The people were shooting with guns. They're shaped like Pringles. I said, thanks, Merry fucking Christmas. But this is still travel around Haert. So, the drug cartel story. 23 dash 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 dash. After Christmas, Adam and Eve, aka Noche Buena, or Navida Vesper, it 'twas to Mazatlan. Scary place, round then. Jesus Christmas morning. I met a woman as I was walking into town 2 miles with my stuff, sweaty, hungry, broke, nervous, and unresolved to how to handle the evening, hoping to maybe find a way to have a hotel somehow. And I meet this woman who lived around there in her 20s with some sort of accent I would love if she fucking knew any as to how to let me delve poeta soul wove her fucking accent. I loved, and she talked with me as bugs ate my flesh and heard my whole story while she wondered when I would ask for some money or thing she had worked for. I finished and completed my whole story and my worries and my woes, and she said, "Oh." Well, I live around here, and I'm wearing a hot outfit, and my apartment's by here, and I just had breakfast. I hope it all works out. This is a great town, but there have been some large groups of public gunfights repeatedly over the past few months. Hope that stops. I said, fine. Hope your kind no existe planete earthe soon enough thought to her here. Then she went away and I saw real live drug cartels in the flesh, with no bugs eating away at theirs. In a proud, glossy truck U.S. would call okay. They were proud of it, though, and I didn't know they were cartels. However, I did see they had Marlboros, Reds. And so I approached to a truck's door driver, and Isa said, "Cuánto yes, perdón. ¿Tienes un cigarro, posible?" Eventually I learned Spanglish. They said that was just to get you to turn the fucking page. They didn't say anything yet. The driver leans to me and looks to my eyes. I looked in his and could see a portal through to a well of source he was coming from. Sonoran, Sinaloan, deep place of... He said, "Okay, but first you have to kiss my brother." So he was homo incestuo curious. And I said, "That's okay," and started to walk away and responded in Spanglish, "Why not? Why you no want to kiss my cousin or whoever?" I said, "It's Navidad," meaning please stop being navigated by your dad, aka Navidad. They followed me, as I walked with the Marlboro he gave me anyways, to the sidewalk, and as I walked to the populated, elegant breakfast diner with no heart, but maybe some heart these days, I hear the woman stick her head out of the truck and say, "Hey, Lee, we love you," and smiled. I looked at her and saw some clarity and felt some truth through their eyes, through hers, and said, "Okay, that's a start. Get away and grow your love into a heart." 24 dash 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 dash. Canadians. Canadians everywhere. Fucking stop it. They were all old and all Canadian except for the some. I saw one walking back from his grocery store with grocer bags. Some eggs and shit. I say complete terror story cared Talus. He says he can't help me, and around this times I started to get angry when people didn't give a fuck, and I also started being smart. Saying, "Hey, okay, so then, well, do you know of a place I could sleep out around here?" Outside? Ooh. And they would then always get really nervous then, of course. Never wanting to think of the reality of actually having to sleep out fucking side. And sometimes that would make people care enough to actually fucking help and spare their $4 they didn't fucking need anyways. Even this did not work on this particular old coward. I walked through a mazy pasta of alleys and street roads to find a partially eloquent grasseries and fountain square of core old people walked out of church and helped me. I split to Porto Aveirta with want of Porto Rossi. 25 dash 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 dash. Sippin' on Kvasia. Damn. I must have to floss today. Now, pimpin' ain't easy, but it's necessary. Actually, I arrived in Puerto Vallarta and found its purple-pink skies to be like the azure of Monterey. Quite beautiful and pieced. I met locals immediately who walked the Malecon to in Frothbrofra with 40s and tweed smokes. I remember and I recall standing in a concrete sphere as a part of the stone boardwalks with rain and a homeless woman all fucked up physically and violence under the breath of place. I thanked them for the weed and found a patch to sleep by the shore during the morning when it's most always okay in any town, as it isn't their bedtime yet. People looked at me, fucking strange authority figures and locals and tourists alike. I awoke to find an old man drinking Mai Tai Mazel Tov Marvatinans, and he was under the shade canopy of a traced ambrouille with wooden entrefeu and plastic strips of rainbow antiques. Pale pastelets, just so happy and content to be a place and a scene as a such. I said, "Hey, story, can you help?" He said, "Look, join me and have a drink and get you bus fare," which he did. I was relieved and wound up having a few drinks and talked about women and Puerto Vallarta with its fuchsia dusks, which I guess had recently been all shot around by them cartels, drug lords, and we then went to past the art monuments and Bangin Cathedral House to art new agey friend of his. She was pleased to have seen me, and I waited until I was given bus money and itched furrowed bugs to go beyond hell-sheeving to some hippie town away from the tiny rich car by comparison. Tourists, small hill streets. Goodbye and so long forever. The hippie town was ultra eeky. 25 again, dash 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 dash. Maybe Playa Novillero it was called. I got it. So I went there, right? I quit rap. As I walked through the tiny of a town, it was like a place I'd been. And I found my way to that spot you always want to find, and there were spoils of sand, shoulders gradienting off of foils, tears, a yarded bank of shore, perpetual in brown gold. I get tired of being best. No, I'm not, you say. Again, tired. Tired. The tiredness is pain. Flat, tired, charred, and soon blank. And as met more locals again, who thought of dances around cock and roost, hole and caguama, mota and darks, sea, star. I said, "Hey, where is everybody?" They said, "Well, if you'd been here around Jesus Christmas Navidad, it was rockin' then." I said, "Yeah, I must be wrong, like you, all who read and think of me, sort of. So canned, I sleep here at least. Yeah, sure, moan, why not? We don't trust you because we don't trust ourselves, because we're still confused babies who want you to think the source of the confusion is with you, and we're unwilling to see this or anything where you overload us with your natural thoughts being curls of energy too great to us. There was a time when we learned from people like you, like the word earn, we were cared about because it equated to our idiotic idea of work, though that time is dead now, like all that had beauty, and we say it is smoked weed with them and drank some of their beer and went beyond the Zipolite-esque playa to a group of places lined by the elegant ocean, one being renowned in tourist famed. I remember the firelit black domish pad of beach us strangers shared in the poetry of its dark and sandy, wide vibe and look enclosed though open. Not like anyone is conscious enough to care. Turn the page. 26 equals 8. First was Manzanillo, said Zaneo, and a town around. Manzanillo first has a blue cyan dolphin gigan pleated crimped metal in waves of sheets curved around like a spiral fished, eaten and recycled artistily every day. I walked through the main tropics of the blocks and had some impania and was cold in the looks of others strange. Okay. And Barra de Navidad had a table of card-playing Nostradami restaurant dark types. By the bus depots, they look at me strange. I said okay and walked through rocks by shore. Ixtapa and through via Zihuatanejo. Ixtapa z Turistaucal. And I floated around asking for less tad soils. And they said, this one symbol will be another, slowly we shall learn. I said, earn? Okay, maybe. Lean or what? Yeah, love the hearts is already learned. Okay, so there was this one German Europhobic brat best, worrisome wanderer. I said, hey, here's the honest story. Blat, blat, blat. And he said, really? And I said, yes. Because it was. And he went with me to a food restaurant, makeshift plasta, and told me his story of wail and woe, also about a woman who left him and kept him watching kids, which were from a marriedness, and an extirpation of love to put it into another body we can then, when, love it, and that, yeah. Poor kids. So I ate my steak, and I winked. Next chapter. 27-28. So now for the story of how I got my old famous raincoat of a tobacco case. Story. I was sitting in the fucking bus stations again, and I was depressed again, and it was okay, though temporally disheartening. And I meet this man by a chair who's probably late 20s, and he says, hey, this next place you go through, Lazaro Cardenas, don't go there. Just go straight through. Straight through. There's mad cartels all through there. And if you look at this website, blockblah.complex, it'll tell you what's good and, oh, well, what isn't. Guess what I said? Okay? And he goes, here. Don't be so sad. Here. And he gives me this tobacco case with a bizarre hologram of pines and an eagle of frames of flying around. He looked like an old friend, Kevin of L.A. And the eagle was striking of the last moment I'd had with a shamanesque hostel runner of San Jose del Pacifico, who, as I left afraid to hitch back then, looked at a bird and said, may we all be like that bird one day. When it's time to go, you fly away, he had said. This tobacco case reminded me of an ordainment of my choice to smoke, usually spirits with the bird emblem, and of my choices to travel. I thanked him complete. I went through to Acapulco. 28 28. Acapulco was supposedly worse than others, and I went to the bus place and stayed beyond the tourist centro. I slept overnight outside of the terminal in a designated place and covered my gringa face watching supposed security guards. Puerto Escondido was the last place before Zipolite again, Zipolite signifying the move inland towards Belize, which comp 8's our here chapter. Tal. Puerto Escondido, or the Hidden Port, is a magical place. I found $10 from a few kind people and went to book a hostel by the sea. lifted my bag from my back and stretched around. It was New Year's there, or Año Nuevo, and so forth, or the like, and I met some hippie Mexicana travelers who were rad and partying with caguamas on worn steps. I could see the hula hoops, and I said, "Can I have some of your LSD?" And they gave me a gringo price. You've got to eat. 100 peso. No, 150 pesos. No, 200. Look, I know I'm a gringo, but I'm poorer than you fucks. Bless your heart, please. And so the acid started. 29-33. And others. And I drank Imperial and Corona to sate ergot spawn, maybe. And I made Edo and Bygone and started Wakan Ya. First it was Meandera through a shore of New Year's Eve chaos, and trumpeted of fire pinnacles, abroching the parasols, cabana umbrella fronds, and under the weight of it all, finally I then met Scary, who laughed when I lied, and his friend, and it sent me through stone mazes, heavy ang, gold beige, to find myself afraid and alone, to find myself's motel of an ocean, and during the center of that dawn was a technological energy being of the parasited, former, constructed thoughtways Hadya, and it was vomited outside of me in a belly. It had been until I would feel the pure of it gone, and it scuttled back in as dainty inerho as it could, and I said, fuck that. It was a pure child of 8 or 11, that I had been until it fed back, was a ray of clarity in 18 months after I unjected it all to see its razor death of change, and retranscarnation, yup, and whatever beyond. I went back to Zipolite to say goodbye to the West Coast then. 30. - 3. Zipolite za. Completed sphere, it was to return with Talus and be again beyond and return simultaneously. First I walked to the glorious Shambhala, of course, where I had first started and where the nostalgia remained. To find Gloria was sick and didn't want to see me. I talked with the new employee and asked of Graciano, and he said, "I don't know you, so may have to trust you and give me a room for free, mosquitoes and all." Problems with her legs and others, she was close to death, from how it sounded. I couldn't see her, so I thanked her anyways from afar, completely and from a heart. I then would see Graciano, who was giving tours and some other former Shambhalans. It was another season there, and everyone was high and bustled with bongos and hair wraps, embroidered jaggy. I bid adieu, and all the locals who said you can't hitch around Central America were shocked I was still around, and I said, yeah, it would be. Okay, time to go inland. Salina Cruz was revisited. I wave a hand to the ocean of waves and turned east, all Spanged to death, being and beyond. 31 - 32. Tehuantepec and Juchitán de Zaragoza, and San Pedro Tepanatepec and Arriaga. All I was through to yes avail, Chiapan Desert, and all around Tuxtla and electronic music and tiny car memory became San Cristobal again. I was spangedly talented by then. I go and circumambulate the main verandas of squares to see another, and behold, the Dolphin RV that drove Woody and me, an alcoholic, to from Garberville to Ukiah or some such, where appeared and gave me $5 50 pesos. I spent money and asked for it again and again. An old man heard my statements and walked to the ATM and gave me $60, may have been 40, and I was on my fucking way. I stayed in an artist-type collective and hostel where my head hurt and my sinuses ached, and I said, okay, it's fucking time to go after a spleef or two. the bugs kept the boar kingdom, and the boar one ring. 32 dash 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 dash. Again, 33. And it was all Yucatan time then. Okay, I said, and went beyond Palenque to Villahermosa and Ciudad del Carmen. Villahermosa being a very dingy NYC status clocky, and oh, don't go over there or over here after dark, but yeah, over here is okay for some hours, yeah, sure. And I went to the Central Iglesia and talked with the priests and parisha, who actually had a lobby of a wait for those who would be upstanding and would also want to maybe ask for some help around those parts. They fucked me over and fucked me around, and I asked locals as they came and departed and said, I won't have sex with you, or fuck, or anything beyond or earlier, or fuck you very much. In Spanglish I said as I moved. Ciudad del Carmen's a bridge town unique and very military navy-ary. Campeche and Merida were both rather Spanish, and I stayed with a hostel with something like bananas or something in the name, or chimpanzees or something. People sold food by the shores in a carnival of gatheredness. Merida is grand and scarlening. I said okay and went to the gay-run Quebecois hostel, where other than a glance or two, they were rad Tommy. By one of the bars and told to go through one of the I know where all the things are always kind of party kid. Rare around them pars. I heard Rasta music and some puffy, confused guy stared and scared and wanted me to talk always, and I looked at, moved to the music and said, Pardon, I'm listening to the musica. It would be beauty. The very first time I ever go beyond this United Stated was a travel through Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and some ruinous. Now I found myself in Cancun again, only within slightly other perspective. By the bust were people who had it cornered and I was spanged. Me, of all people. I said, look, never mind. 33 dash 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 dash. On the ticket. I found the hippie zona, where there actually was a swirly park with bongos and jaddies and 500 personas. I smoked weed and went to Playa del Carmen with my ticket, which I already had. In Playa del Carmen I moved around with the weep of meta-memory. Sweep the streets I used to own and have again. Year up. Kids with party pockets and sheen guided me to another place where some gave me cash, and I found myself in a place called Mandala with a Shiva statue and club music. It was the most hoppinest place on the party road, like a new age club, where only some would ever know what the fuck. And I got drunk. I slept shorewise and loved the turquoise waters I had remembered with that idea of staying with lovers and with love, ultimately. Years ago, then, and years earlier than then, yeah, number 2, number 33 on the ticket. "34, dash, 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 dash. And the ticks were courageous. I went through Itching and Tulum, Quantalis. Found myself in Chetumal. The tick and scabies and head lice medicines did nothing to cure the colones. Salt around thing is protective for a variety. Wickus okay, and Austin Osman Spare's Book of Pleasure and Collected Works. Tasso. So are we aware when we think about people and say things while they aren't around, it can have effects through subtle energetic circuit boards in our connected planetary grid according to bipolar people on the web or whatever? It can be okay to speak well of someone and think well of them, always can be beautiful ultimately, anyways. Chetumal is the border to Belize. And I walked place to place to ask for pesos, and one place laughed at me and gave me 2. I placed it on their little counter and said thanks, keep it. I called my dad from sheer desperation and no way over to the border to the Belize. He said he talked with people, and they all quantified my nature with the thought and called our infinite nature bipolar. Because I traveled in a strange way and embodied the up and the down and other ways in the moderates and the extremes. So come back to the States and we can get you on SSDI, and you can keep with your projects. I smiled and said, okay, if that's how they interpret it, okay. Barely okay, after all I've been through. And arranged a ticket in Honduras, as all the Mexican police had been fucking with me, to fly back to Columbus, Ohio, of course, to leave again. All that remained was Belize, Guatemala, and La Ceiba, Honduras. Chapter 17. Belize. 1. Belize. Bursting Belizean woman, near that front emigration, near broke this here pattern. So, I walked in and was a little shocked to find Belize was Caribbean. I had no notion, and you see, they were just so bold thick with their presence, booming smiles and the such so forth, until the counterwoman says, yeah, I think it's time you get a new one. Passport. That one looks it's getting old, you know. Yeah. Ja. Love. So's I walk out to a fucking hexagonal, kind of rigid, pie-shaped quote-unquote table. And these fucking money changers try to scam me a little, yeah. And they fucking make fucking fun of me, mock me, real fun, as Tory would tout, and our toot. I go to float on through to the Orange Grove town as though I didn't have enough to stress of whether or not I would have fucking stress. 2 .. Orange Grove is a boxy little shaped town. Yeah, it's like a grid. I know. And I liked it a chance enough to until some fucking cheerleading exonerator of channel through ear monster says, Tommy, oh hey, yeah, you're going to Belize City, huh? Going to see that town and stay there and have nice time, hotel it? Think it's great day now, huh? And I'm like, hey, well, what if that's a strange grammar sentence to... And basically, dude says, tell to me, Belize City is dangerous. A virtual unperfect dusk for Elise. That cab drivers there would and do take new tourists or elder to an edge of that town and fucking kill their wallet by robbing them. Yeah, up. And then they even do other things to them, like leave them there outside of the cab with nothing. So I went to Belize City and felt their fucking fear thrum through me. I missed Key Cocker as jackass tourists made it happy to miss as retro respect. On through to a Placencia it is, or was. 3 .. Placencia. A forehead. Dead after memory. B. City of like. Motherfuckers looking around as though where was an opportunity they wonder at. I avoided it regardless with those stupid-ass fucking feelings gutting through. Yes, after everyone said it would have been great. Sure, always does that. So then Placencia, I was worried, and I asked stupid. They said, watch yourself and be careful, and I went, well, stupid asked. I did hear Placencia was nice and safe and okay though, right? And their response came, sure yeah, It's okay here. That's what gets everyone to visit. They come because it's a nice, safe place to go. But still watch yourself. So I went, fuck you, fine, thank you, on to the fucking hostel. Worried as I always was back. No one ever gets it right. Ever. Right? Arriving at that hostel, I remembered those Belizean fields I loved passing through, mystic, misty, and lush deep, and a nature of love feels. And those blue-gray-green tall grass fields of thick air I did breathe in, I do love still somehow, some fucking way. I rested into that hostel and met an Australian after the drunk blonde girl troops vanquish vanish she'd, and we spoked all to the night drinking and thinking. It was an exchange long times into the comin'. I dealt logistics and was impressed again with that goddish nature of Caribbean folk so potent and smilin' freein' themself of that Babylon bondage. Bus to border Guat of Livingston remain future tude. Chapter 18, Guatemala. One and last, Guat. Livingston starts as that first, you know. I got to that dock from a boat and just passed on through. Chapter 19, Honduras. 1, Hond. Endearment. I returned to the same hostel with something with a banana in its name or such. They said, just don't go out at night this time around. Whatever. So then I went to stay all that night and asked the host man if he had a fucking cocaine connect. He did, and it was lame cocaine. Not that I'm that into it, though. I can get a little finicky, I guess. I just have fucking standards, brah. After the coke dried gone, he wanted me to get more. I didn't have a capacity and strong need to both either or. I drifted awake to ignore a Canadian who thought Americans like me never traveled except to where she did, of course. To racist land. Airported to El Salvador Ador. Chapter 20, El Salvador. 1. Same verse second as What Last Ever, El Etimpat Earn. El Salvador, whatever, it's El Salvador, and it was a few hours in a cop-dog-ridden airpuerta, and windows to see the nation narrow is on your side. Chapter 21, America Returned to Peaks. 1. A. America. Yeah, Vespa Uchi. I get back to Ohio first. Think it was D.C. They funneled tunnel me through this time, and they fucking nuts over there, sure. Then, other things I don't care to call. And I'm sitting in Ohio. Everyone's freaking when it comes to the scabies I got from Freebox clothes at Occupy. And I research a web to find borax is a thing to pour all over every carpet and rug, linoleum, what have me. The little fucking bugs finally die. My dad sees me vacuum and says, "That's a good boy." A senile, semi-abusive asshat. They get me a Ford Tempo from a 97-year-old Christian freak. where I had to peel every religio sticker off. And the one that wouldn't go was Pray the Rosary. It instead became Ray the Osar. I go door to door selling green lawn or whatever it is. No one wants it. And then it's door to door selling Kirby vacuums after vacuuming scabbies. So I had Expeer ents. Motherfuckers treated me inept because I didn't know how to hustle and swindle a white trash into buying $1,000 appliances with death time guarantees. I did a 2-week Tim with Horty's stint. And yeah, I was ready to leave this place. It's true there's nothing left for him down here. Ocean. Ocean is her name. At least it was. Maybe it still is. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know if I got all the timeline right here, but whatever. I took food stamps, I think, after exiting band with alcoholic guitarist John, who fucks fat girls when he isn't living at his mom's or sick with the flu and still drinking. Band in question came from sitting there and mediating to get to a trance and higher vibe, purified state, hours and hours to do so, then exercises to channel each track topic. I called that project The Questions, as each track was a rumination on a question and an answer of a kind, too. He met me, and did hear me sing, thought I was old Jim, and wanted to call our project Stupid Fucking 7 Mile Snake, as a stupid fucking reference to a great band, The Doors, with Jim. The keyboardist tried to sing. They always wanted me to scream. They didn't like when I brought in beauty. They just wanted cock rock. Fools. I did Adderall with them and was shut down when I hit their IQ ceilings. Pretty fucking quick. So I traded food stamps with some scared-ass girl for gas cash to get west and found Craigslisty festy kids, 2 chicks. We all teamed in Louisville and went to Nashville, partied and shot west. Fuck Ohio. Every time I said 3 ... West to ocean she is, a goddess, and to a body of water called Pacific. They wanted to go to a festive runners who get drunk in San Frisk. Saint Francis would disapprove, I'm sure. I don't care. I left with Ning, rode myself alone to Shasta, and went straight to Berryville Parker. 4 ... I sat down at that park to see if its magic remained the same. In 5 minutes, Ocean, a goddess, at least at that time to my knowledge, sits down, with 4 dudes orbiting her. So anyhow and anyways, everyone's doing the same thing Shasta was a year ago. I'm astounded. First, let me say, Marianelle Mazzarina has found another way to pray with music. And so, she asked instant when I ignored her social amperage if I'd been to Alf's community, quote. And I went to one of Shasta's hands with her to see her fuck with some stupid little dude. And then one thing after another jumps off. I meet an anger character unaptly named Buddha, obese and unconcerned with irritating others with his anger. I meet Joe, who has a blacksmithing school bus, and we're told we can't take it to the aforementioned Alf community. He rocks, though, and fits no particular subculture. We go with Ocean and other goddesses to Ashland, then Oregon forests. Everyone doubts me and stops giving me food and tobacco. I pull some fucking strings, brah, and get hundreds of fucking cash cows. Take all the goddesses and go south with them. So ah. It changes to just alone, me, Ocean, and 5 ... We go to Berkeley, watch as walk Engery, softers. She says quiet. Yes, that's how energy changes to beauty. During that magical moment, she hugs, and we hold each other more than a moment in an alley. Ocean says, I don't know why I'm doing this. I say, I don't either. I don't think her beauty can be described here, or her presence as beauty. It's more than her name, or any comparison to some fucking human being or earthen frame of fucking fucking rents. Anyhow, I see her eyes and roundish face in all its complex, simple, perfect purity. Now I hope one day you do too. 6 ... She leaves me for her coke-dealing, short, bald, sweaty, aggro ex-boyfriend. Probably for love of coke as the main. I call her a prima donna. She tells me doing meth is gross, so right after we split, I do meth regardless. I had been called to, and so I call her, and on meth say, I didn't mean you were a prima donna. I meant you were a pre-Madonna. And she giggles and loves it, as everyone who fears a substance loves me when I'm on it later, unless I tell them I'm on it at the time. Then a fucking switch gets killed on, and they behave like an idiocy, because they're stupid, because they even have that fucking switch in the first place, you stupid fucks. This is all after we meet my sister and her then fiancé Tim McGraw, who both shower us with obnoxious cruelty. They said, are you going back to Ohio with Lee? And I didn't want to fucking go to Ohio, don't any of you fucking get it? It was at a stupid fun idea to go to a Mexican restaurant, they thought. I drove back to Shasta alone after singing my heart out loud in Berkeley. Alone again, alone a loss. No, all a one, Alice. 7 ... That's when things started to change for Lee. So fucking exciting, it. Lots of underage sex time, really. Not that I do that, or that that's my thing, or whatever. I like sex beyond form with others who are getting beyond form, though that hasn't been attained yet. It's what I orient myself to these days. Full moon gatherings at Sand Flats get me and Amy Lynn up there. Some Daryl and Daryl's story too, where he tweaks and calls a girl a bitch. Then some rumor where he shoots the sky with a pistol, unrelated to full moon thing though. We're cold at night, and I let her sleep in the back of my car, and when I fuck her, we are baffled by how hot it feels for both of us. She was 15 aeons old, right? I drive little Amy Lynn south to Big Bend, Cali, Hot Springs, and fuck make love in our tent for days, and she lowers herself down on me so slow it's perfect enough then. Now, impossible to earth sex is the only thing that satisfies me. We go to Chico after, and she leaves me for some fool that looks like crude wolf after I give that jackass a ride, no less. Though I like wolves, magnificent creatures, I say. I'm in Shasta alone yet for another time. I meet Annabelle Blonde Sweet Haert, and we go to a mud-infested rainbow gathering to have rainy tent sex, and she complains when going down on me gets her hot and gets it rough in the cutest little way. She says, "It hurt a little." She introduces me to her friend, no joke, named Jezebel, and others in some reclusive goddess hippie mansion. I get left and so leave to go north with Buddha and get to Eugene, Oregon. 8 dash 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 dash. I meet a little street girl named Mouse. She looks 12 but claims she's 19. We speak for a minute and she disappears indefinite. Someone named Sean appears with dark tattoos, and one is a black dot high on the third eye strip of one's face. He greets me by subtly shaking his middle finger extended, though his hand is motioning like it's a wave to get attention or say hi. He's older and has an intense dark vibe, but somehow okay energy felt through and through. So he asks me if I have a bank account. Some other chick there denies him like I do, 'cause I don't have no bank account back then. She says, "Oh, some old check fraud shit, huh? No thanks." He snakes me in later, though, offering gas for cash, no reverse it, and heroin. I'm like, well, okay, I do love free gas and some drugs sometimes, don't we all deep within our hearts? Until we transcend, but that includes because it's transcending, MF. We proceed to go to north getting quantities of heroin and go through Portland and up to Olympia, get meth thar, smoke it, and Mouse appears. 9 dash 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 dash. Olympia is rad, BTW. Some kid tells me something I will ever and never forget today, Yaz. And I, quote, "One day we'll all look up to the sky at the same time, and so then the aliens will come back and give us more." I told everyone that, see that kid right there? He knows what time it is. We met a black woman drug dealer who said her husband was killed, but it's okay because everything is in God's hands. Courtney Love is kind of from Olympia too, on a related note. We went to Seattle, me, Mouse, Buddha, and Sean at least. 10, Sean, dash 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 dash. We get goofballs after seeing how drug-ridden Seattle is, and 13-year-old tweakers in the park. Everyone every 5 minutes offers us some kind of drug. Fucking Seattle, as they say. Doctor's orders, as they say. No, I'm not on drugs when I compose this book. I'm lucid and porpoisely out of boxing it. Obviously. Haha. We go to Puget Sound, shoot smack, and smoke tweak. I'm already started to fucking Mouse to be obnoxious and blunt. She was, and maybe still is, a sweetie. As Puget magic stirs, the OTO as secrete sends elders and masters to show magic to those like me, Sean says once. As everything wisps open and palpable magic stirs, and everyone simultaneous sees energy. Same things at the same time, mind you. New dude starts issues with us, and I say, look, this isn't your forest. Buddha has issues too, whatever. It culminates to where Sean stabs my car. Days later with nail file. And Buddha keeps living out of my car, exploiting my kindness in me, and Mouse just finally scram. 11 dash 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 dash. Me and Mouse are nervous because we have Sean's tattoo gun, not on purpose, and Buddha's bag in that trunk. We jettison all of Sean's heroin paraphernalia, and everything that wasn't ours. A lady at the gas station calls cops on us when she sees its drug-filled looking bag, and we sprint east to North Bend. We call my biological dad. He refills his extra credit card that is quite rare for me to have, and had been empty forever too. And Mouse convinces me to go to Vegas for one last tweak burst. She said they really have best tweak there. We go south through Bend, Oregon, have a strange nice day there, go beeline to Vegas. In Vegas we find her friends and live in the hotel with her dog Wolf. We meet Wade, I think it was, a phenomenal musician who smokes killer glass with us. We have magic and epiphany skyrocket to a culminate of him freestyle guitar rap ping, and explains how he know how to get people off the bridge now, and I say as our frequencies keep raising how I explain to him as a quiet high channel that it is possible to find a love, you know, where all it or she does is make you love, and that love spreads to overwhelm and makes you love another. And all that love does is the same, which is all that first she ever wanted, and fuels you to love that first one back. And it grows and grows that way, you see, with no downside, shadow, or fall system point. He cries, and Hunter walks in and says from what he's hearing, he thinks I'm ready. 12 ... Hunter had appeared earlier that week, you see. He said I was there for his question, how can I get out of this town? I said for the last time, he needs to give this world everything it's afraid of so it can see it, and all the kaleidoscopes of dimensions of meaning that are carried with that question and answer for all and me and you or other. Yeah, go with it. Die itches, I guess. Earlier we met a van load of cheerleaders when I was done schooling bank phone people. SoCal led. Ariel was the lead cheerleader, and I said, "Hi, Ariel," and she giggled. So did Mouse. And I explained to Lucky and others before whom I had given a free motel room to. Glass is meth. The same crystal technology Atlanteans sunk into an ocean from overusing - abusing sing. So I cautioned them to not overuse it like has been done in the past and quit promptly. Out of Nevada, Mouse, it's time. 13 ... Didn't have a Vegas threesome yet, though those two girls were on my bed. Our bed. Death Valley went through that side mirror like death is or isn't a surprised. Dry that desert is dry on multitudinal leviels, vales, Vallejos. And so Flagstaff disappointed us motherfuckers, homeless, arguing about phones and shit. We go to Santa Fe then instead. Santa Fe, New Mexico is dark gray in some ways and some day. They were all sitting around some park and holding 2x4s, blocks of woods and thing brandished like hornet stingers from Zimbabwe or Utah, wherever. They said the cops were pussies there. We had an okay time singing in an alley and smoking weed with the local there. 14 ... Took it as a sign. We went touristy farewell to you are tourists gone. Taos, New Mexico was potent and an opportunity to give alcohol and tobacco to homeless and sad souls. 15 ... We went up through then to Colorado. Good old Colorado. Sargasms here on your book face. No fence, on fence, offense. D. Starts Colorado Springs, quiet and gentle. I took leftover food from a ritzy restaurant table and gave it to destitutes. Lower class, right? Too nervous to do it themselves, and inspired some circuitous change right in that town. I think I did, sure. We went straight to Nederland and near Navajo Peak, which has a crystal shape made of itself coming through its peak. Third poem. Something Ellis. Nothing I knew. Flew away like a leaf. From an unraveled hologram of sphere, we called it reality until it flew. Like another statement. Gone. We asked for a grain of sand from an hourglass bent on spin. I'm bringing back myself to ocean. I say again, done. Something else. Dry bones, dust love. Thought a bruise was dirt. It healed unlike something like 14 teeth. For once I don't miss her. My impossible seek is quiet to other realms too. What a dream. How great. Keep the ravioli flying. Make your feelings cyclone frequency. Maybe if you let it, our magic shall return. I'm on my way out to Intaya.